It's just a fact of life that people hate confidence. Find any confident person and they are bound to have a lot of haters. For whatever reason, if you have a tremendous amount of belief in yourself and you have the confidence to tell the world about it, people don't like it. People cannot wait to see you fail. Conor McGregor, before he even made it to the UFC, was telling everybody he could beat Jose Aldo. And because of that, people were foaming out of the mouth to see him lose. When Jake Paul went against the grain and told everybody willing to listen that he's gonna be really good at beating up old MMA fighters in a boxing ring, and everybody laughed at him. But he proved them all wrong. He proved that that is literally his specialty. But Paddy Pimblett is a bit of a different case. Because yes, he's very confident, he's very brash, and he's willing to tell everybody how great he's gonna be. But what makes him different is that he actually sucks. He's really not good. So essentially, he's just become a complete laughingstock in the world of MMA. But even with that being the case, a lot of people are still picking him to beat Tony Ferguson at UFC 296. And look, it's not a terrible pick, but I think it might actually be a little premature. I think most people who are educated in the world of fighting have always looked at Paddy and thought he really had no shot against anybody in the top 15. But the whole world realized it when he fought Jared Gordon. Going into the fight, I heard from people that Jared Gordon, he's not bad, but Paddy should run through him still. The truth is though, Jared Gordon is actually really good. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say he's elite by any means, but he is very skillful. Directly after the fight with Paddy, Gordon fought Bobby Green. And now, Bobby Green is a very good, very unorthodox striker. But Jared was outstriking him, kept hitting him with counters, and was winning the fight until he got headbutted. Gordon's problem is he's a 45er fighting at 55. He's very small for the weight and doesn't have a lot of power or speed. If he had better physical attributes, he would have finished Paddy first round. 100%. The only thing keeping Paddy in that fight was that he was way bigger, way stronger, and way faster. A lot of people, when they talk about Paddy striking, they say things like, oh, he keeps his chin up in the air. Oh, he keeps his hands too low. Yes, you shouldn't do those things, but they're not the inherent reason why his striking is terrible. Paddy fights like somebody who's never sparred before. If you showed me him fighting and then told me all he ever does for striking is hit the heavy bag, I'd believe you. The way he throws his punches and his kicks, they don't look bad. He throws them with a good amount of speed, a good amount of power. You can tell he's a really good athlete. And his high kick off his front leg is genuinely really good. But he completely and utterly lacks any kind of fight IQ. His distance management is horrible. His defense is disgusting. He throws combinations without any regard for what his opponent might follow up with. Paddy towered over Jared Gordon. Paddy's only listed to be an inch taller, but anybody with eyeballs will tell you that's not true. And he had a 5-inch reach advantage. But he did not make a single attempt to keep Jared at range. Paddy would just choose random times to just lunge in with punches. And he was already doing it in an extremely telegraphed way. But to top everything off, he starts every combination by going, huh, then throws a flurry right in punching range. And was just getting countered over and over and over again. He didn't have any kind of special setups or combinations. He was fighting like Jared couldn't hit him back. And not to mention, Paddy has never once in his life checked a leg kick. It hasn't happened. Review all the film, watch every fight he's ever had at .25 speed. You will not see him defend a leg kick well at all. Not even when he's sparring. I'll say it again. Paddy's #1 leg kick defense is to do nothing. So now let's look at Tony Ferguson. Yes, he's old, he's full of mold, he's brittle, he's falling apart, his body is no longer producing any testosterone. He's lost a lot of his speed and explosiveness. See, Tony was never the most technically sound fighter, but he was very strong, very athletic, and he had some Roman wipes level cardio. When you think of fighters that can go all day, you think of guys like Volkanovski, Colby Covington, Max Holloway. And the one thing these guys have in common is they don't have a ton of knockout power. All three of these guys typically win decisions. But Tony Ferguson broke this mold. He could always put your lights out at any time. And even in his advanced age now, Tony still has power. He dropped Michael Chandler, dropped Bobby Green. And both times, this was because he caught them during a combination. Tony has a very long reach, which allows him to catch people off guard. Now, we all know defensively, Tony has a lot of holes. He was always known for relying on his chin a lot. And this is even more true now that he lost a lot of his speed. But Tony is still insanely tough. Mentally, he's unbreakable. I don't want to break it to Goggins, but you didn't need to put Tony through a hell week for us to know that. You just tortured him for no reason. Against Bobby Green, Tony got hit a lot, but he never stopped moving forward. He was constantly throwing punches, and you know what else he was doing? Constantly throwing leg kicks. Tony has always done this, and it hasn't changed. I mean, call me crazy, but with all this being said, it seems like Tony has the best matchup possible in front of him right now. For all 3 rounds, he's going to go right at Paddy, spamming leg kicks and constantly throwing punches. And Tony is going to be landing. Paddy's going to be winging his punches back, and he's going to land as well. But if he can't put Tony away, those leg kicks are going to start adding up. And once that movement from Paddy really starts to slow, which will force him to get stationary, and Tony walks right in front of him, grabs his Wing Chun wrist control, and then starts throwing elbows over the top, Pimblett's going to be in serious trouble. Like I said earlier though, Paddy has power. If he catches Tony coming in with one of his lead leg high kicks, he could put him out cold. Tony's striking defense is nothing to be admired either. If Paddy wings a right hand and catches him right on the chin perfectly, doesn't matter how tough you are, your brain is gonna shut off. But if this fight stays on the feet, you cannot pick against Tony. There is no way. Though, just to be completely fair to Paddy here, it seems like a lot of people don't know this, but if you followed his career through Cage Warriors, it's clear he's not a striker. Paddy's strengths are without a doubt in the grappling. For most his fights in the UFC, he has not made much of an effort to get the fight to the ground. He has gotten taken down a couple times, but he's not that good off his back. He's good for Cage Warrior standards, but the UFC, no. But if he gets top position on you, he's very good at forcing you to turtle and taking your back, and he's got decent submissions. But I don't think I've ever seen him shoot a proper single or double leg in the UFC. I've seen him do it at Cage Warriors a ton of times, but in the UFC, for some reason, no. He likes his Haraya Goshis a lot more. But if I'm Paddy's coach going into this fight, I'm telling him to shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. You need to get Tony on his back, look to land ground and pound, and look for submissions. If Bobby Green could arm triangle Tony, Paddy could absolutely find a blood choke on him. To me, that is the surefire way Paddy wins this fight. But in a kickboxing match, Paddy has way too many holes defensively to be favorable against a guy like Tony Ferguson who will walk through fire just to cause you a little bit of pain.